Are there people on your team struggling with overwhelm or even burnout? The best way to address this is to begin at the margins. Want to know how? Watch this video. I'm Bob Wendover. Where do I begin? That's the number one question managers ask at the conclusion of the sessions I present on overcoming overwhelm. When I drill down, though, I usually discover that they're not just asking on behalf of those on their team. They're actually asking for themselves as well. But in reality, the answer is really the same. Begin at the margins. So, what does it mean to begin at the margins? To answer that, I tell people the old joke, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? We're all saddled with too much information, too many choices, too many demands, and too many false promises about how our lives should be. And all of this results in an ever-accumulating stress unless we're acting to manage it. The question, of course, is how do you begin to manage overwhelm and even burnout at the margins? Well, let me share some simple tactics that you can implement and share with others on your team. But before I go into those specifics, let's talk a bit about mindset. Workplace burnout is the result of having to make too many micro decisions. Micro decisions are all the little distractions that come from technology and advertising and really even the people around you as you navigate the day. Truth is, you can eliminate hundreds of these micro decisions from your activities each week. But you have to approach the task with the right mindset. Carol Dweck, the author of the book Mindset, argues that there are two kinds of mindset, fixed and growth. Those possessing a fixed mindset assume that being overwhelmed is just kind of their lot in life. There's nothing they can really do about it. It's just part of the job. They have to deal with it. On the other hand, those possessing a growth mindset reject the belief that they simply have to deal with all the distractions and demands that try to sap our energy and time day after day. Even in the midst of pressure-filled days, those possessing a growth mindset work proactively to get rid of all the time wasters, which in turn frees up their energy and focus for the important tasks on hand and really have some opportunity to relax and recharge as well. In fact, if you watch them like I have lots of times, you'll see the differences in their approach to daily life. And you can do this too, really. So, here's what I see the best thinkers doing to avoid the feelings of overwhelm and even burnout that can creep up on you unless you have a plan for managing them. Are you ready? Okay, here goes. First, they eliminate, delegate, or automate the little time and energy stealers that dog most people. In other words, they've taken stock of all the tasks and distractions they are confronted with on an average day. Then they've performed an analysis of all these tasks and distractions and categorized them into what they can and should eliminate, and what they can and really should delegate, and what they can and really should automate. If you want more detailed information about this, click on the video link in the description. Now, once they've done this, they begin to eliminate and delegate and automate as many of these little tasks and distractions as possible. Many of these decisions are like the little things that consume your attention but aren't really necessary. Now, if you want more information on dealing with micro decisions, click on the micro decisions video in the description. Second, they've developed the presence of mind to anticipate and manage unnecessary tasks and distractions as they confront them. Now, these include a lot of the got-a-minute questions and spontaneous meetings and maybe urgent calls or texts or emails about issues that in a lot of cases they don't really need to be involved with, and a host of other nuisances that sort of pop up during the day. Where most people just relent when these distractions arise, those with a growth mindset are prepared with the responses to manage them at the time they occur. And as a result, they conserve time and energy rather than suffering from what you might call death by 1,000 little diversions. Third, they take tiny risks. More than anything else, we're defeated many times by our fear of maybe saying no to someone, or our fear of asking when we don't know exactly what the response might be, or maybe our hesitation about eliminating or delegating or automating tasks and activities because it may not work out. But those with a growth mindset recognize that there's little risk in acting to deal with these marginal nuisances that steal our time and energy. They weigh the risk and the reward, and then they consider the possible responses that could happen, and then they take action. And while not every one of these efforts works out, they succeed in eliminating a lot of these burdens, which cumulatively over time saves lots of energy and focus. Can you do these three things? Can you teach those on your team to do them as well? Absolutely. By the way, none of this takes time except for the eliminate, delegate, and automate exercise that I mentioned before. The rest of it is accomplished in the moment that it happens. Now, let's get specific for a second with some of the examples of marginal decisions you can eliminate. We can begin with meetings. For each one of those meetings, ask yourself, is it necessary? Can it be accomplished in less time? Can a number of meetings be consolidated? Is everyone's attendance really necessary? By answering these questions and others, chances are the decision will become obvious, and then you can act. Then there are projects. Rather than a committee, can one person begin the process, initiate, and then over time ask others for feedback after the initial work has been done? Can artificial intelligence, for instance, be leveraged to both research and create the initial draft? Well, this can also be done with things like customer proposals and funding requests and policy development and that type of thing. How about scheduling? Research by Nicholas Bloom and his colleagues has found that placing the responsibility for outcomes on individual teams, rather than trying to manage everything from the top down, yields cost savings and better results and better employee retention. And this is especially true for scheduling and location of work. Simply providing more flexibility as opposed to hard and fast rules also boosts morale and productivity. Contact me and I'd be happy to point you to his research and the other supporting data that I'm talking about. There are more than 100 of these super practical kind of tactics that I've been talking about in my book, Overcoming Overwhelm. Just click on the link in the description to find out more. How can you begin at the margins to overcome team overwhelm and workplace burnout? And don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell so that you'll be notified when I post more of these proven ideas. I promise you won't be disappointed. I'm Bob Wendover.